Hey, and we are live. This is one of the LinkedIn Lives I've been looking forward to for quite some time. Linnea Gavrilis is a former boss of mine at EY that, was hesitant at first to get on LinkedIn, but is super excited to join us. So thanks for joining us, Linnea.
No, I'm really excited to be here. And I don't know if anyone's your boss, Mike, really. But.
No. Well, anyway, so Linnea is a partner at EY, and she came just a few months after I'd gotten there and immediately made an impact. So I guess, Linnea, so first of all, thanks for joining us. I know how incredibly valuable a partner's time is in a Big Four consulting firm, and I saw that firsthand, so that means a lot. I guess, could we start? You were a military spouse when you were still in your consulting career, right?
Yep, that's right. That's right. I married into Army a number of years ago. So had the fun and the opportunity to balance the military spouse life and be a full-time working professional.
Wow. So can you talk to us about like your professional career? Like, how did you get to EY as a partner?
Sure. So, it's funny. It's all about the network. And I think you've said that at least, I've read it at least, I think 2,200 times, maybe you've said it. But it really is all about the network. And I had breakfast with one of my favorite partners, Michael Bodewig. And he said, hey, EY is looking for people with international experience. Is there any chance you'd be interested? And it went from there. I met Michael Beaulieu, Michael Harrington, Kevin Nagel, the whole group, General Allen, Dan Allen. And that's how I ended up at the firm. So it's really the networking. It was breakfast with Michael, just thinking we'd have a laugh about back in the day and have some coffee. And it turned into actually a great opportunity. And I'm having a lot of fun and hopefully doing some great work.
I love it. So really, it all boils down to Eagles fans. You love Eagles fans.
I wouldn't have put it just that way, but maybe. Let me think about it.
Michael's a diehard Eagles fan, and
Yep.
Michael's one of the reasons I was at EY as well.
Really?
Yep. And I'm a diehard Eagles fan as well. So from the Philadelphia area originally. So that's fantastic. Now, but even before that, really going back and connect with Michael, can you talk about like the career of experience that got you to EY? I mean, you were a managing director at Deloitte, right?
Yeah, I sure was.
Can you give us an overall of your background that got you there? Because it's
sure. So I started my career. I went into the Foreign Service right after undergrad.
Mm-hmm.
And my father's in international banking and then an ambassador. So that's the life I knew, was international and government service. So that seemed like a great fit. And then went to grad school at Columbia after almost 10 years in the Foreign Service, because I knew I was having so much fun, right? Mm-hmm. You're front lines in an embassy. It's, policy, front page of the Washington Post every day. And I wanted to go back to grad school, but I was having so much fun. I thought, if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it. So I was at the UN Second Committee, Econ and Environment, and went to Columbia for grad school, had a great time, and then went back into the Foreign Service. I owed them some time. Then went into the technology industry, wanted to try private sector, had a great time with that, and then went back to the department. Actually worked for the CFO doing Iraq policy and budgeting for him. Wow. And as part of that, met the Bearing Point team, was hired actually by a guy I work with now at EY, right? So it's all about the networking. I think you said that. And then ended up at Bearing Point for a number of years in the Department of State account, running projects in Iraq, Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia. Then Deloitte bought Bearing Point, so I ended up at Deloitte for a number of years. And then my last job before EY, I was the chief strategy officer at the American Foreign Service Association. So if you look at it on a resume now, it looks like, wow, she did a great job planning. There was not that much thought that went into it. So when we're talking about people who are looking for a career change or what's next, the resume doesn't make sense till it makes sense, right? Because sometimes life happens. So it's been a lot of fun. I've done great work with amazing clients, and it's been fun. I think you got to stay true to yourself, but don't worry that the resume doesn't look like every step was planned out, right?
And I'm starting, the more of these interviews I do with, successful executives like yourself, and they tell their story, I realize that in the middle of all of it, it made no sense. Like
that's right. That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Back, it's like, oh my God, all that made perfect sense. Right. And so when you talk about your career now, and I believe you're the partner for one of the partners for State Department, right?
For the Department of State. That's right. I've got the lead role there. Yep.
So now, for you to be a partner representing EY for the Department of State, it looks like, oh my God, it was so
perfect. Yeah.
Right. When you think about your time in, Bearing Point running, consulting for a Department of State, you think, oh my God, she had, 10 plus years of experience, in foreign service, grew up around the embassies, and now is able to bring that experience and solutions to bear to support it. It all makes sense.
Yeah. And it did not at the time. One of the reasons I went into the technology industry is I didn't think I knew enough about tech, right? So I spent a number of years working in business development for a company called Macromedia, now bought by Adobe. But as a result of that sort of, it looks like it makes sense now, but at the time it was a bit of a, that'd be interesting. A lot more about software than I would have otherwise, right? Which is very relevant to the kinds of work I'm doing today and the kinds of conversations I'm having with either EY's technology alliance partners or with clients, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those that don't know, I don't know how they could not know, what is EY?
So EY is one of the big four consulting firms. We are, of course, the best of the big four. I have to say that.
I agree.
Yeah, that's right. A great corporate culture. I love it. Very entrepreneurial. We do everything from, we are the, Gartner quadrant leader in all kinds of things, secure supply chain, in Scrim, in a lot of our great human capital, which we call people advisory services. We do really well in all four of those areas. I know sometimes when you first go into a client, they're like, hey, we know you as audit or we know you as tax, but they don't know all the other great things that EY does. So lots of great work in the leadership space, return to work, secure supply chain, threat intelligence, strategy, audit readiness, lots of really, really diverse company from a, products and professional services perspective, and worth a look, ey.com.
Worth more than a look. So I still have tattooed in my brain, somewhere in the middle, is whenever you joined, for however long you stay, the exceptional EY experience lasts a lifetime.
That's right.
That was when they flew me down to Atlanta. I spent several days down there, the most amazing onboarding session ever, just surrounded by incredible talent. And it really meant that. And I still feel like part of the EY family, even though I left 2 months ago. So
what I loved about that class, Mike, was that the people who taught it were no kidding in the market, right? So you had what we call, GCSPs, right? Account leaders teaching this class to new, hires. And they could have been, leading our work at Procter & Gamble. They could have been, leading the audit at, wherever. And they took the time, and EY valued them and us as newcomers to the firm, to have them in the classroom, and the power of being able to really go through a case study with the client service partner who led that work and talk about what did the client need, how did we think about, how did we help solve it, and hear about the great partnership that's then continued right even to this day. Very, very powerful. Really great.
I remember one of the events I attended, and it may have been my orientation, but I was chatting, but walking back from dinner to the hotel, chatting with one of the ladies who was running it. And I didn't realize till afterwards that she was the America's talent leader. All
Yeah.
You know,
The whole firm. Yeah.
the thing about it is every partner that I met is incredibly personable, has been caring, has invested, their time and effort, and works crazy hours. So,
Yep.
so I want to get at, but Brian Dean is a Deloitte, currently at Deloitte. So he says, it's great to see a Deloitte alum. What do you think are the most important skills to strengthen early in your career to achieve high-level management positions such as a partner, principal, managing director, or a partner, PPMD or partner? So I think he's a senior, I believe.
So I have to underscore what you said, Mike, about the networking. So I appreciate the question, Brian. And I know, everybody says it's all about the networking, but it really is. Whether it's inside the firm and there's a really cool project that another team is doing that you think will give you a different skill set and you really want to do it. Like if you're passionate about it, you got to network your way to that leadership team and see if you can find a role, right? And then you're on a project where you're doing great work and you're passionate about it. And when you continue that networking, you will find that path to be the kind of leader you want to be, right? People have to know who you are and what you're capable of. And frankly, what value you bring, what value you add to any project or client engagement. And that's what's really important. I would say networking is number one. And I have to ascribe this to General Twitty, Steph Twitty, who I'm really honored to work with at EY. But he said, always read. He said, aside time every day to read. And he said, if there is something that interests you, if it's, in or out of what you're working on at that time, read, because it keeps your brain working. It keeps you thinking new thoughts. And so to get back to Brian's question, if there's an opportunity for you to provide value and you've been keeping up with what's going on and the new trends and this and that, you will have more options and more opportunity to insert yourself in a positive way in any client conversations or client delivery. So those would be my two things.
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. And I have to echo the importance of having a sponsor, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Michael Bodwig was a sponsor for you. That was how you got a firm. Same thing with me.
Yep.
And I've had great sponsors in EY from networking, like Mark Anderson, and other, incredible leaders that, that you build a relationship with you. And there's someone that, can, if they see an opportunity, they think of your name and they point it in the right direction. So I think that's
right.
incredible. And I do all my reading on the internet, on social media, but you're right. The more knowledgeable you are, the more ready you are to act on those opportunities when they come. So,
can I add a point to what you just said, Mike? Because I think it's really important when you said you do all your work on the internet, because people are the people skills are really important. And I know it's hard to say during COVID time and we're all working, remotely and all of that. But spend that time one-on-one. So I tell a story about, I was working on a project one time and I had two colleagues working with me and they were trying to find time on the calendar and they were sitting at two desks facing each other. I don't think they were 50 feet from me even. And they were emailing the three of us, right, to figure out a time to meet. I'm right here, just like come over, right? Yeah. And so the idea that you really have to make the effort to have no kidding FaceTime. Email isn't it. Texting isn't it. It does not build that relationship. So make that effort, because I think it's really important. I think you do a great job of it, and the rest of us could work on it.
Yeah, no, I think that people could benefit from supplementing their face-to-face with digital.
Agreed.
Nothing will truly replace it. But I remember the first time because I always post. I remember I went to an event and Mike Harrington said, "Hey, Mike." And I'm like, "Oh my God, the GPS leader knows me." But I connected with him on LinkedIn. He saw my content, I only got in trouble once or twice. So, for being me, but I mean, one of the first things I did at the firm was connect with a lot of partners, a lot of other senior managers, a lot of managers, so that, it wasn't a cold ask, that people got to know who I was.
Yep.
Nothing would take the place of those lunches, those coffees, those conversations, but it helps. So
it does. And I think one of the great things about EY is, people will take the time, whether you're like I was a direct admit partner or whether you are a senior manager or senior manager. people value, that is a core value of the firm, is to spend time with each other and network and empower each other. And so I was really surprised the first time I reached out. I had been, I don't think, 2 weeks, and reached out to the person who was my one of my sponsors coming in, John Short, who leads all of our assurance work for the government public sector. And I was like, oh, can I have half an hour? And I'm like, kind of writing in tiny font, not wanting to bother him. And he's like, absolutely. And he put time right on the calendar. I was like, dang. So that's, it's behavior then like everybody wants to emulate, right? Because if that guy who's super busy can make time, then any of the rest of us can make the time, right?
Yeah. Look, I got a partner right now. And then as soon as we're done, I drive to go have lunch with another partner from EY.
Yep. There you go.
So another one of my mentors. So, and I left the firm. So okay, let's move on from the EY Love Fest a little bit.
Okay.
So I know your profile says principal, but I call you a partner.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference?
So a partner is someone who has a CPA by the actual, the rules of it all. A partner for EY, and I think almost all the big firms, was true at Deloitte too, you have to have a CPA. Mm-hmm. They bucket partner principal in the same, kind of group, but the difference is like a partner has a CPA and a principal does not. Okay, so what does it mean to be a partner? Like from like an equity standpoint, ownership of the LLP, mm-hmm. all that other stuff. So I think that the cool part of it is you actually vote on things. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have to keep up to speed with it, but you have a say in who leads the firm. Mm. So, you have a say in who that next level is, and then the level up, and et cetera. And so obviously I'm very pleased that Kelly Greer is our current leader for a number of reasons. But you have a say in that, which is helpful. And I think inspiring, and you have a say in how resources are spent and allocated, which is cool. And it really makes the company a team, which is really neat, right? Because you're all owners of the firm, right? Yeah. Some not, but you're all owners of the firm. And so your decisions matter, your passion for the firm matters, your commitment to the firm matters. The example you said as a leader matters, and there's a group of you doing that together, which is very cool. So that's a great point. So you're all, as an LLP, right? As a limited liability partnership, right? The firm itself. Mm-hmm. When we talk about the firm, it's really a lot of, individual business owners that work. Am I kind of phrasing that right? Like, kind of? Yeah. Yep. So it's yes, although I have no legal background, Mike. Okay, don't say it then. You don't have to. If there are any lawyers watching this, please do not write it down. Let me do it, Linnea, so you don't have to say anything. So the way I understand it is that each partner is a business owner that comes together. You have equity in the larger firm, and you share all the resources of the firm. So it enables you to work across other solutions. Yep. And team up with things a lot more effectively and bring a much better package to bear and support our clients. You share the resources and the risk. Yep. Because as owners in the firm, right, you're making decisions about how things are going to be handled and how things should be handled. So it's mostly upside, and there is some, the risk piece is not small in a market like this, right? Yeah. And we've got great leadership, Carmine and Kelly and others who have really Now Next and Beyond has really been, and Next Wave have been fantastic strategies for the firm, and we're doing really, really well. But it's those leaders, and you feel good because you've had a chance to vote for them or support them, and so you really do feel ownership using small o, right? You do feel ownership over the way that the firm is moving through the market. So one of the things that really resonated with me when it came to COVID, this pandemic that hit everyone and hit the consulting industry pretty hard, was that I remember EY did not let go consultants. The partners took a pay cut. That's right. To stand up for the firm. So that was something. So thank you. By the way, lunch is on you, Mike, but whatever. Yeah. But I mean, it was that was something that really resonates with what you said about having a group of leaders that care. So yeah. Well, now, I think the military has a phrase for it, right? One team, one fight. Right? Yeah. Similar to that. Yeah. Now, I will say I have never worked as hard as I worked at EY.
So I mean, no, that's not true. I mean, the deployments, some of those days were crazy for an entire year. I put a lot of work in, but you put a lot of work in with everybody doing their share right next to you, and you find these incredible successes. So I'd like to get into. We're already at 20 minutes. I knew this was going to fly by. I don't want to go over 40. So so you work with Department of State, right? You represent EY for Department of State.
Right.
What does that mean?
So what that means is I'm ultimately responsible for the client work that we're delivering, right? And I'm responsible for the account strategy, like how we're getting at the account. And then for the financials on, the broader account financials. So that's what it means for anyone in an account leadership role.
Yep. And so when you talk about some of the different, I guess what I want to call is like solutions, like what are the kind of things that you deliver that EY in general across the government and public sector delivers to clients? When you talk about what problems are you solving, what things are you bringing to bear? Like, what are some of those things?
So some of the things that we're doing that I'm most proud of, we're doing a lot of work with the state of North Carolina and some of the other states in terms of COVID tracking and tracing, program management, helping with some of the secure supply chain, some of those issues, some of the risk management and leadership decision making. So led by a colleague of ours, Lori Feller, she's doing a great job. A number of other partners are working on that, but that's the kind of work where you're getting in with the community and you're really making a difference. And as she says, you go home at night and you're like, wow, I really made a difference today. So that's really cool. We're doing some work. We have a couple of great technologies we call them BRETA, right? So it's a technology and a team. It's our business threat intelligence, again, tool and team. But we're doing a lot of great work across the U.S. government in that space. And it's basically really helping with a secure supply chain and the network of providers. So as you look at a product that's being, has been, the DoD, for example, has signed up for, what is that supply chain? What are each of those dependencies? And then where might there be some areas where DoD might look at it and say, wow, let's talk about who owns that. Let's talk about the financial health. Let's talk about making sure we get the part for that, whatever the product is for DoD. So that's very cool, led by Sue Winkle and Brandon Arns, doing some great work there. And then the other one that we're seeing, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I could go on all 40 minutes, but the return to work reimagined. Then the organizational culture piece. So being led by some great partners in the firm, Maya Smallwood, Bodewig, our favorite, right? And Ram, and then Erica Ford. So lots of great people working on that one. But as organizations, including the US government, try and think of what is post-COVID, right? Can we still have people sit there in the same office space? What does it look like? Do we have to redo it? Do we have to, stagger the times that people are in the office? How do we think about benefits? What does that look like? How do we keep the corporate culture or the organizational culture that best fits our mission, whatever our mission is? And so lots of great work in that space. Yeah, I mean, those are probably the top three. The supply chain work is fascinating when you look at it right now, and you think about what have those disruptions been in terms of what our communities are looking for, and how with things like vaccine provision or some of the other things, right? How you think about the difference in delivery and quantifying risk and decision making. It's really interesting stuff. So no wonder we're in the top right for Gartner on that.
I love it because I remember getting a briefing on it, and the question was like, what if they look at this one tank and this one critical widget is only made in Venezuela, right? Like it's the only place in the world they make it, or well, if something bad happens, no more tanks.
That's right. That's right.
And when you think about vaccines, when you think about all the different components, I didn't think there was another program out there where they really went to that detail to take everything apart, figure out where every single piece and then where it was all made, what risk is with each individual element. I could see how that would be critically important to our warfighter.
That's right. Exactly right.
To the government in general, I guess, really.
Well, and to commercial partners too, right? To some of our commercial clients, right? You think about a J&J or a Procter & Gamble or Moderna, right? They want to know that all their component parts are sourced and readily available as needed. And then the supply chain for delivery, right, is there and is functioning as it should. Because you don't want a bunch of vaccine, taken out of the refrigerator and then it's no good, right?
That's a really great point. And then the work reimagined return to work. I was talking to another leader the other week, and they said they were waiting for like OPM guidance because everybody's been telework. And so, and their thing was, does everybody have to come back?
That's right.
And if they don't have to come back, are they restricted to hiring only in the local area from that point forward? And then if they're not restricted to hiring in the local area, how do they set up their pay bands? How do they pay locality? And how do you make sure you're getting the best talent and not just the local talent? So do you kind of get involved in some of that stuff as well when it comes to the talent piece?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. That's my passion. And I would say you wrap what you just said and you think about some of the cybersecurity challenges, right? So we have our GPS leader, Scott Smith, and Gary Winch doing some great work, across the government public sector in that space, because it's not just how close, how closely can I have people sit together, right? Which our real estate team can help with, right? What are the GSA guidelines now? What does it look like from OPM in terms of requirements? But it's also, how does that change the work behavior? And then you take that out a little bit, and how, as a leader, do I need to change my behavior or maybe my ways of communication or the way I incentivize my team, because I'm not in person anymore, right? I mean, you and I have seen each other 2,000 times together, right? Like face to face. So this kind of thing works because we know each other. But if I'm trying to lead a team I've never met, and I'm trying to really incentivize them, understand what they're good at, where they have challenges, and how to kind of inspire them to do the best work they can. How do I do that, right? So there's a whole chain of skill sets and challenges, and I think the EY PAS team is doing a great job of getting at that.
So one of the things I think I want to dig into a little bit is, how does, how do you end up at an organization providing solutions, right? It's not like you have this one package solution that you just sell to everybody, right? It's really more of, the client brings you their hardest problems, their biggest. Am I right on this?
That's right. You're right on that. You're right on that. So, part of it is knowing the client space, right? And partnering with you to help me learn your client space. But it's really knowing, what the client space, being able to have those trusted conversations, right? Those trusted advisor conversations where, a client will come in and say, this is my vision, right? Let's work on what the vision is. And then how do we get there, right? So we can help think about those steps. And then I probably won't get into the details of acquisition, because I think that's just a rat's nest, right? But it really is, again, going back to your point about networking. You go to a conference, you participate in that event with CFR or BCIU or CSIS or whatever, or you're in that client space already and you got to listen, right? Where do people need help? And then that's our responsibility as professional services, people to bring some solutions forward.
And then you get the solutions from within the firm in a lot of cases, right? You're able to go out to other partners that specialize on these specific solutions and kind of find what the best combination is to solve those problems.
That's exactly right. Yep.
All right. So now to the fun stuff. We got Mark Stock, proud EY alum. You remember Mark? I didn't know Mark was still on LinkedIn. Holy moly. So Mark is awesome. Thank you for joining us. He must have seen your name, Linnea. But so let's talk about it, since it is called Day at Work.
Okay.
What does a day at work look like for a partner at EY or a Big Four firm?
One of the things I love about consulting is no 2 days look alike. So I'll just give an example about yesterday. So usually, because I'm in the global space, it starts with some sort of an early phone call, right? Either with a client or with a global, the firm membership, right, is global. That's talking about either a discussion with clients about delivery and how that's going and how we might better serve them. So that's one way that it might start, or it might be sort of a conversation with our global partners. How are we doing? What are some of the choices we're making? How much progress are we making in DE&I? The importance of that, of creating this, fair, balanced, diversity, equity, and inclusion environment, and how can we do better and better at that. So that started the day. And then I had an hour with one of our technology alliance partners.
Mm-hmm.
Was great, and always they have the engineers on, and they always inspire me because they can solve anything, right? If you look at it and you say, hey, the client needs this, and they're like, oh yeah, I can totally do that. So that's great because it's inspirational.
Is that to learn more about what they do?
That's right. And to get back to your earlier question about if a client is looking for this kind of solution, you got to figure out, is it in the firm? Is it outside the firm? Do we have the partnership with a company that can solve it? And kind of, I consider it like the puzzle pieces, right?
Yeah.
Putting those puzzle pieces together. So that was fun. And then I had a half an hour mentoring a senior manager in the firm, and she's amazing. She mentors me most of the time because she's fabulous. And then we had a lunch and learn. So there was some good, some good things there. We just bought a legal firm that is actually doing cross-border and immigration work. So we're the first any company to be able to have that wholly inside EY as one of our, we're calling it one of our member firms.
Big.
Work, great client space. So learning about that. And then the afternoon was prep for a client meeting that we had today. And that's kind of how it went. Then I spent an hour or so working with the team on our Department of State account strategy. That's it. Yeah.
So,
never a dull moment, Mike. Never a dull moment.
And you probably left out the going through the 150 emails.
Yes, I did leave that out.
And the other work calls and the work on proposals and, the red team. Independence, doing your mandatory training. But so what is it? You said starts with an early meeting. What time was that early meeting?
7:30.
So 7:30. And when do you typically end your day?
It's usually, it depends. It really depends. I think on, last Thursday, we had a bunch of reviews due for our professionals. So I think it was maybe 9:30 or 10 by the time all of that stuff was done and organized. Yesterday, it was about 6 and about 6:30. So, but today did not start at 7:30. It started at 8:30. But, consulting is not for someone who needs a 9 to 5. I mean, that, you've said that before. It's great. No 2 days are alike. Lots of, activity, and it pushes you to think, but it's not 9 to 5.
Yeah. No, I think that's why I wanted to ask. And I've seen the trend. I haven't seen a successful executive, outside of the government that works less than a 50 to 60 hour week. Like everybody's doing at least a 10, 11 hour day. And more often than not, it's because it's something they love. So that work-life balance is not like balance means it's a little blended.
Right.
So in some ways, and I knew that, how hard you worked, but with great power comes great responsibility.
That's right. That's right.
So, all right. So we talked about some of the different services, the types of meetings. What does success look like for you? Like what are you evaluated on?
So what success looks like for me personally is different to an extent from professionally. So professionally, we run a business, right? So the metrics are the amount of work, sold, delivered, client evaluation of that work, making sure you're doing a great job, that you're being a really good leader for your teams and your clients, right? In some cases, we do sort of mentor our clients, and then having those clients come back again and again for work because it shows that you've done a good job, that they trust you. Now, if they come back again and again for the same thing, maybe you're not doing such a great job, but that they would take you with them to their next jobs, right? That's a mark of success. And then retention for our teams, right? Keeping great people. Or if they aren't at the firm, like, you left to start your own, or you started your own business, but to really revel in that. And then you're coming back as an SDVOSB to partner with us because you believe in what EY does. So I think, you could take out EY and insert any company, I think, in terms of that success. Personally, it really is empowering the teams and the clients, right? The money is important because we run a business, and that is what I am measured on from a professional perspective. But we got to find that personal motivation too, right? So it's, meeting smart people, working with smart people, doing exceptional work for clients. And that is what, for me, the mark of success. I'm excited to get up. I'm learning something new. I'm bringing a new solution to the client. we're helping make some great things happen. That's the personal side for me.
Yeah. Oh, and I think that's incredible that you're able to kind of combine both personal and professional in some different ways. Because if you're doing the personal right, then it should make the professional part a lot more easier with your example. And something I think that's important for Brian to understand when he asked about how we didn't mention about being able to be a PPMD or a partner is you've got to get BD. You've got to be able, like, you cannot be a partner if you are not bringing in revenue, if you're not comfortable building new accounts and selling work. I mean, it's part of, like, you need to, you need to run a business. You need to bring in the revenue to build the team, to pay your salary and everything else. In a lot of ways, I don't think it's any different than mine. Like, I started a business. I can't give away everything for free because I've got salaries I got to pay. Right.
Except when I call you and I want you to mentor somebody, that's free. But other than that, yeah.
Yes, correct. Which reminds me, I need to follow up on that. So I think I do remember that. But I just want people to understand that so many people are afraid of the word sell, and that doesn't mean you have to cold pitch people.
That's right.
It's building relationships. The way I think Joe Quinn explained it to me, and Kevin Nagel explained it to me was, it's not about trying to sell anything. It's about having those relationships so that when they have a big problem, they think to ask Mike for help.
That's right.
Or they think
that's
to ask
right.
Mike for help.
And if you're doing your job the right way, you're not selling.
Right.
You are that trusted advisor who's saying, hey, you're stuck here. How about this thought? How about that thought? How about, thinking about this in a different way? How about we bring in supply chain or our, people advisory services to give you some ideas about how to go forward? And so it isn't a hard sell, right? You aren't going in showing the list of, like ordering this food for this money. You really are partnering with your client to think about how to get them through a rough spot. It's not easy when you transition from the military, right? Because I hear so many people when they come into the firm say, hey, I don't want to sell to my friends. I don't want to sell to my friends. You're not selling to your friends. First of all, you shouldn't, right? If it feels like that, something's not right. But also, if you're doing it right, then you have a team that's coming in with you. And it isn't you, Mike, or me, Linnea, on the phone saying, how about you buy 10 of these widgets for $5 a piece? It's you with a team saying, you know what, Mike, I heard you had this issue with retention in your company, right? Higher military. So I brought this team together. Let's brainstorm a little bit about what that might look like, right? That feels a lot more comfortable. And then you're bringing to your friend a potential solution. You should never be the one who has to ask to sign on the dotted line right away, right?
And I saw it as just being, staying in contact, building the relationship. And they mention an issue, and I just say, hey, you're trying to figure out what's next for work. Let me connect you with Linnea. Linnea's got a team. They can come and just talk to you about some potential solutions. And you guys decide where you go from there. But by coming to me for help, if I was still there at the firm or partner with you guys, they would also know that because Mike's involved, that Mike's going to make sure it doesn't fall to the side to get what they wanted.
And it's going to be relevant, right?
Yeah. So, okay. So 38 minutes. I'm trying not to go over 40. All right. Linnea, couple quick questions.
Yes.
One, if someone wants to be a consultant in a Big Four firm and they're getting out of the military, or they're a veteran or a military spouse, what is your advice? I know it's a broad question.
So my advice, it's networking, right? It's absolutely networking. I think there are a bunch of great programs that you talk about on your LinkedIn profile that are of little charge or no charge. Every opportunity to do a practice interview or a mock interview or a real interview for a job you're not even interested in will polish your skill set. Trust your gut. If you talk to someone from a company and you're like, that doesn't feel right to me, it doesn't feel right. It's not going to be right for you, right? Always trust your gut. You do know, right? You may not know exactly what that person does every day, but you know what your gut is telling about the way they do it, right? And then do your due diligence, right? You can figure out if you want to be in logistics, look at all those companies and see where people you know and like have gone, and then see what they're doing and if it's in a space that appeals to you. And then you'll be able to get your way, find your way in the door.
Yep. No, I think that's amazing. I mean, I think, I have a Bachelor of Science in liberal arts.
Mm-hmm.
I have probably
poli-sci major.
I have the most useless degree there is. And I would never have gotten to EY without someone in the firm meeting me, without the Michaels, the Karen Shrums,
Yep.
the Aloha McBrides, the Joe Quinns, the Kevin Nagels meeting me and seeing something that they wanted for their team.
Agreed.
Networking, again, I mean, we can't say it enough. Right.
There are books written on it, and it's still true, right?
The world revolves around relationships. So if question number 2, if anyone wants to reach out, get some advice for you or connect in my community, do you mind if they reach out and connect with you on LinkedIn?
Not at all. Not at all.
Awesome. I guess I'll turn over the last word for you. Anything extra you want to share?
No, just appreciate all the work you're doing in this space. I know you also introduced me to ACP, which is a great organization, and what they're doing for veterans and for military spouses is really powerful stuff. And there are other organizations, doing similar work. So there are people out there who want to help and take advantage of all of it, because there's no bad time to have information to help you make the best decision. And I would also say, exhale a bit, right? The resumes only make sense because you're in this current job and you wrote it to make sense for that job, right? We're all doing the best we can on our journey, and it's all good as long as you're following what matters to you and being true to your moral compass. So
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Linnea. I know I'll be talking to you again soon. You were fantastic.
As were you.
I would say let's take me out and have you do these interviews from here on. I know that that's too much time on your plate, but thank you for everything you do for our community, and I look forward to catching up soon.
It's my pleasure. Talk to you soon.
Bye.